Human behavior follows laws, not opinions, not intentions. Laws. One of the most consistent laws is this. The mind moves away from uncertainty before it moves toward opportunity. This is the foundation of avoidance. Avoidance is not laziness. It is not a weakness. It is not a character defect. It is a protective reflex. And like all protective reflexes, it operates faster than conscious thought. Most people misunderstand avoidance because they judge it by outcome. They see procrastination. They see indecision. They see withdrawal. But what they are observing is the surface. Underneath is a deeper mechanism. The mind does not fear effort. It fears loss of control. The brain interprets uncertainty as risk. Risk is interpreted as danger. When the outcome of an action is unclear, the nervous system activates caution. Overthinking begins here, not because a person enjoys complexity, but because thinking creates the illusion of control. When you analyze, you feel active. When you plan, you feel prepared. When you delay, you feel safe. Avoidance often disguises itself as preparation. You tell yourself you need more information, more time, more clarity. But clarity is rarely the true objective. Control is. The mind would rather remain in a predictable discomfort than step into an unpredictable possibility. This is why people stay in unsatisfying jobs. Why do they tolerate stagnant relationships? Why do they delay decisions that could change their lives? The known pain feels manageable. The unknown outcome feels dangerous. So the mind chooses the known. Overthinking is not deep thought. It is controlled hesitation. It creates a loop. You simulate outcomes. You predict failure. You imagine embarrassment. You calculate risk. Each simulation feels productive, but it leads nowhere. The mind confuses the movement of thought with the movement of life. This is the hidden seduction. If you think long enough, you feel responsible. If you hesitate long enough, you feel cautious. If you delay long enough, you feel protected. But protection from what? From emotional exposure, from visible failure, from the possibility of being wrong. The mind avoids actions that would publicly test identity. To act is to risk being seen. To decide is to risk being incorrect. To commit is to risk loss. Avoidance shields identity from trial. A business idea is refined for months. Notes are organized. Branding is adjusted. Details are perfected. The launch date arrives. It is quietly postponed. No announcement. No release. What does this prove? It proves that improvement can become delayed. Perfection becomes protection. The risk was not failure. The risk was measurement. Once visible, the idea could be judged. By postponing, potential remained untouched. Avoidance preserves identity. In relationships, avoidance looks like emotional distance. Not because feelings are absent, but because vulnerability removes certainty. You cannot control how another person responds, so you reduce what you reveal. In work, avoidance appears as endless preparation. Courses taken, plans drafted, ideas refined, but nothing is launched. Because launching creates measurement. Measurement creates judgment, and judgment feels unsafe. In decision-making, avoidance becomes delay. You wait for the right time. You wait for perfect conditions. You wait for confidence. Confidence rarely precedes action. It follows it. But the mind insists on certainty before movement. So it waits. And waiting becomes identity. Most people believe they avoid action because they lack discipline. This is incorrect. The problem is not laziness. It is a perceived threat. The problem is not incapability. It is intolerance for uncertainty. The problem is not weakness. It is the mind's devotion to psychological safety. Avoidance is intelligence misapplied. It is the survival instinct operating in environments that require courage instead of caution. Thousands of years ago, hesitation preserved life. Today, hesitation often preserves stagnation. The environment changed. The nervous system did not. Every time you avoid, you feel relief. Relief is powerful reinforcement. You delay sending the proposal. Anxiety drops. You postpone the difficult conversation. Tension decreases. You ignore the decision. Pressure softens. The brain records this. It learns. Avoidance equals safety. This is how the loop strengthens. Not through failure, through relief. The short-term reduction of discomfort becomes more rewarding than long-term progress. And so the pattern repeats. There is another layer. Avoidance protects reputation. If you never fully try, you never fully fail. If you never declare your intention, you cannot publicly lose. This creates strategic ambiguity. People remain undefined. They hover between identities, interested but not committed, capable but not visible. It feels safer to exist in potential than in proof. Potential cannot be criticized. Reality can. Avoidance therefore becomes image management, not deliberate, instinctive. The mind calculates social risk constantly, and when the calculation feels unfavorable, it retreats. Avoidance does not eliminate pain. It postpones it. Unexecuted plans become silent pressure. Unmade decisions become background anxiety. Unattempted goals become quiet resentment. Stagnation accumulates pressure. Over time, the cost of inaction exceeds the cost of action. But by then, avoidance feels habitual. Identity adapts. I am cautious. I'm still thinking. I am not ready. These statements sound rational. They are often rehearsed defenses. Here is the necessary contrast. The problem is not fear. It is obedience to fear. The problem is not uncertainty. It is the demand for certainty before movement. The problem is not overthinking. It is mistaking thought for control. Uncertainty is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that the outcome matters. If there were no uncertainty, there would be no growth. The mind interprets ambiguity as danger. But in modern life, ambiguity is often the doorway. Avoidance closes the door too early. Real inner power is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is the quiet ability to act while uncertain, to declare intent without calculating every outcome, to make the decision without complete data, to step forward without guaranteed approval. This is not recklessness. It is tolerance. Tolerance for discomfort. Tolerance for exposure. Tolerance for not knowing. The person who can endure uncertainty gains influence because they move while others calculate. They decide while others debate internally. They act while others simulate scenarios. Action clarifies what thought cannot. Avoidance should be studied, not condemned. When you notice yourself delaying, withdrawing, hesitating, do not ask, "What is wrong with me?" Ask, "What uncertainty am I trying to eliminate?" That question shifts the perspective. You begin to see the protective impulse. You see the mind attempting to preserve stability. And once seen, it becomes negotiable. You cannot override a reflex you do not recognize. But once you recognize it, you can choose differently. Not aggressively, not emotionally, deliberately. The human mind prefers safety over expansion. This is natural, but a life governed entirely by safety becomes narrow. Avoidance feels calm in the moment, but over time, it breeds quiet dissatisfaction. Because potential in use becomes pressure. The psychology of avoidance is not about weakness. It is about protection operating without awareness. And awareness changes the equation. You do not eliminate uncertainty. You increase your capacity to stand inside it. That is the shift, not from fear to fearlessness, but from avoidance to participation. Calm, measured, intentional. And once you understand this law, you begin to see hesitation not as identity, but as a mechanism. Mechanisms can be redirected, and clarity replaces self-judgment. That is where real power begins.